Hello, welcome to a tips and trick video. For this video, I want to bring your attention to this wonderful site, cgcdata.com. It's a site that maintains all the data as far as how many books will submit to CGC in every which way you can think of. You can dissect the data in endless, infinite ways, and it's a lot of fun and educational for those that want to understand the slab market and the trend of how people submit books. But let me show you how to use this site. It used to be very different, and I like the old way much more than the current version, but at least you can still use it. The first thing that you can do is do a simple search. Okay, basically you can fill out all the different criteria, but if you just log into the site and do a quick search. Now my warning is this site is fairly slow because there's a lot of data, okay, and it's the queries of the database take some time, so depend on how fast your internet is or how many people use it. I guess as far as a database, it can take a while. Sometimes it will crashes. It has crashed many times on me. Sometimes it's frustrating trying to use it because it doesn't work, but voila, it works. Okay, so here we go. This right here is probably the summary of all the data. So right here you see as of March 20th 2018, 3,081,000 universal slab has been graded. Okay, the average grade is 8.79, blah blah blah. You can look at all the data on the screen, but you can see the signature is 573,000. Okay, so this is roughly 570, well, exactly 573,713 yellow label out there. Yes, there are some people that will like to bring up the obvious. Yes, some label of books that are cracked and resubmit are not returned, so it's not exact. But for this purpose, I'm not going to waste my time debating that topic because it's not a huge number. Nobody knows for sure how many, but it's not like it's 10% or 20% of the data. So it's not going to skew the data all that much. Okay, so now what would so now that you see the big database, one thing you can do is parse the data every which way you like. For example, if you want to take a look at New Mutants 98, okay, I've done this many times. New Mutants 98, and you run a search. Okay, so it's running right now. What this will do is will tell you exactly how many New Mutants, and very similar data is on the CGC census. So for this queries, it's nothing that enlightening, okay, as far as the information that you're gonna get. But right here you see that there's 11,649 universal label, 2584 signature, okay, and then some restore, some qualify. All right, now here, and as I mentioned before, this is the kind of stuff that if you use other source of material, you see the CGC census is nothing really different. You know, here it kind of tabulate the data a little bit more so that you see, for example, the percentage, like 21.3% of the universal is 9.8. You don't see that kind of calculation on the CGC census, but if you have a calculator, you can whip it out and come up with the same number. So nothing shocking new here. That being said, what is the most useful about this database is the query that you can do. For example, look it down here, okay? Pay attention down here to the prior census date. Let's say you like to find out how many copy was submitted since the beginning of 2017. So let's do this. January 3rd, 2017 to March 20th, 2018. Okay, let's run the search and see for yourself. Let's see what happened. Remember, 11,649 is the total universal. How many were submitted over the past 15 months? Like I mentioned, it takes some time, so just be patient. And if you cross your fingers and toes, it won't crash on you. Sometimes it does. There are times where the database will crash and you're not going to get the answer, but the longer it runs, the higher the odds that it's working. Here we go. Bang. There's your answer. Over the past 15 months, since January 2017, 1,945 copy was submitted and graded. Okay, look at that. So that's pretty cool. You can do this on every book. You can do it on, there's so many ways. And if you have time to play around with this database, you will find interesting information such as how many books. For example, you can run, let's do something real quick before I go. Let's go back to the, okay, you click on this, back to here. All right, let's do a search on comic year. And let's see, let's do something real quick. Once again, let's go back to January 2017. Let's say you want to do a search on, let me see. Books that was published from 2000 and onward. Okay, 2000 and onward. How many books were submitted? See, basically what you see here is how many books were submitted from January 2017 through March 2018 that was published 2000 and onward. Let's find out. It's computing. Dead air. Yes, I do wish that this thing run a little bit faster, but I also understand this is a lot of data to compute. So it's doing its work. I can't say enough about how I appreciate the creator of this site to maintain this database, Greg Holland, as you can see that on the credit right there. So big credit, kudos to him to provide something free for us to play with. And this is where this database shine, because you can't go to CGC census and get this kind of information. They give you the total, but not parsed data that you can look at on any given year or anything else. So this database is a lot of fun for those that interested in diving more into what kind of books people are submitting, how popular certain titles are, how often, what's hot. Okay, this database will tell you what is hot as far as what books are being submitted on any given months, weeks, or year. This is taking a long time, but be patient. The longer it runs, the more likely that it's not gonna crash on you. That's just my hunch. In the past, when it crashed pretty early. It's rare that it would run for a minute or two and then crash. But anything can happen with this database. That's the only thing that I think my complaint is compared to the old ways. The old database, from what I can remember, never crash. I use it so many times and it just runs smoothly. It looked very similar, so I'm not sure what happened as far as the changes that were made. I just know that after the change, the database and the calculations seem to be more unstable, more prone to crashing, more prone to not working. So let's see. It would be funny if this thing crashed, because then I can record live. So what are we looking for? We're looking for books. How many books was submitted that was published from 2000 onward over the past 15 months? How many? How many books were submitted? This go into the discussion I had with many people, where I said that the bulk of the money that CGC as well as CBCS is making in the past few years has been on modern submitting, okay? Modern submission. It's not people that submitting the Silver Age or Bronze. Yeah, there are submission. There are continuous submission, but there you go. Look at this. Finally, right after 4 or 5 minutes, I think, over the past 15 months, there you go. There's your answer, okay? A mind-boggling total. If you look at the total, okay, 167,592, add 94, add 3,000, blah, 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 roughly about 267, okay? Or 265, well, like I said, 260 plus thousand books were submitted in 15 months. 15 months. Books that were published from 2000 and onward. That's mind-boggling how many books there were, okay? Now keep that number in mind. Write it down. I'm going to write it down so that I have a record. Let me have a pen here. 167, 94, 3, so altogether, roughly 264,000, okay? So let's do one more thing. Let's do, once again, go back to January 3rd, 2017. This time, I'm not putting in any year, okay? I'm not putting in anything for this will give me a total, okay? Search. Let it run. So what I'm doing now is running a search, a query that would give me how many books were submitted in the last 15 months. What I just did before was how many books submitted in the last 15 months that was published from 2000 and onward. Now I'm running a query to find out how many books were submitted in the past 15 months all together, okay? This way, we can, impute or calculate that how many books that was submitted was pre-2000. I have never done this before. I play around with different year in the past, but this will be something new for me too, so it's not as if I know what the answer is going to be. I could be completely wrong, and what we're going to see is some crazy huge number like 800,000 books or something, but we'll see. Over the past 15 months, how many books was submitted to CGC? We know 264,000 are 2000 and onward, which I think, I'm sure some people would say that they don't agree that, the modern, you gotta go back to the 90s, but I'm trying to be impartial, I leave out the 90s. I don't think there's a lot of books in the 90s that people would submit, right? Sure. You get the New Mutant 98 and all that stuff, but I figure the 90s and the 80s, the coppers, that's not modern in my opinion, but that's just my take. So much for me thinking that this calculation and query will be quicker than the other one, but it's going through. You gotta understand, CGC database is literally, the census is literally, let's see, 1999, 19 years of data. Okay, there are almost 4 million data points. Anyone that understand computer and database understand that's a lot of tabulation, a lot of CPU are being used to compute. So we'll see. I can easily edit and cut and paste this video to cut out the time that it takes to run the query, but when I decided to do this video, I wanted to shoot the entire video in real time to show you how long it takes to run a query, so that you don't freak out when you play around with this and think that something is wrong and my god, it's just sit there and spinning and I don't get anything. It takes time, it's slow. Okay, it's not something that you're gonna get. You don't get an instant answer. Okay, so just hang in there, you will get your answer. While it is running, one thing that I occasionally make a mistake is the date. Okay, just make sure that the prior census date is always the earlier date than the CGC census date. Okay, occasionally when I have the date swap, like I would have the January 2017 on top and then the March 20. Oh, it crashed out. There you go. Bummer, right? But that's the way that's the way the cookie crumble, as they would say. But at least I was able to show you some good things before it crashed out on me. Anyhow, I want to do it. I want to show the real-time problem so that you understand that it's not a perfect database, but at least you get to see how it works. Anyhow, that's it for this tips and trick. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.